Right, hello, welcome back to Amy Junction. Today we are on the countryside section of the layout, as you can see. So at the moment, obviously this bit's all fine. This area, that's all fine. This area is all fine, and this area is not fine. So this was our runway, so I've took some of the bits off already. There were some buildings that went along the back with its back scene. I've removed that for now, just so I can access it easier. I can stand behind here and work there. I can stand obviously where I am as well. So what we're going to be doing is removing all this. It's not going to be a runway anymore. It doesn't fit in. It was a nice thing to have, as you can see. It just doesn't fit in whatsoever at all. So basically what we need to do is start removing things, and then obviously I'll run you through what I'm going to put in its place. Right, okay, so now all this detail is off. I need to go underneath, take all these LEDs out, which were for the runway lights. And then I'm going to tape over the holes so all my scatter doesn't fall through. And then I'll tell you what this area is going to be. Even though you may already know because of the title, that probably will give it away. But I'll explain it in a little bit more detail anyway. Right, okay, so underneath, excusing the Christmas trees, pulled all the lights out. You can just about make the holes out. So that's all done under there. So if we come back out, up the top, I've taped over. I know that looks really bad, but it's quite temperature changing here in the loft, so it keeps unsticking itself, as I did that a couple of hours ago and then came back up here. So that's all done now. I'm going to put the glue straight over before this comes up anymore, and I'll give it a final push down before I do. It don't really matter, it'll be covered in scatter and static grasses, so real won't make a difference. So that is there purely just to cover the hole, so when I do all the scatter, I won't waste it and it won't all just fall through, which will create a mess underneath. Right, so one of the main issues with the airport, it just didn't fit into this area. Obviously you've got the countryside section going like that. You've got the canal over the back, and then you had this great airport with not much transition. So obviously here we've got some transition. It goes round and then goes into a little bit more industrial, and then fully industrial into the town scene, and obviously onto the station side of the layout. So coming back round, we needed to change this area up. So the way I thought, which I did on the Guernsey Beach layout, that's my mate's ones that I built, I did a caravan site, which I used these Hornby prefabricated buildings from the Scaldale range. And this caravan site, I think, is one of my favourite bits that I've probably ever done on a layout. It just looks really nice with lights. I can easily get some lights hooked up down here. Obviously, I only have to take a wire from the power point I've got about under here. So that would be nice and easy. And then we're going to have, obviously, our caravan site. So probably 3 of them going along there. So I've ordered 2 more, so I need to wait for them to come. One's due tomorrow in the morning, so I'll have to wait for that. And then the other one's a couple of days after. But obviously with the whole coronavirus thing, postage does take a little bit of a delay. But they're doing pretty good, Royal Mail and everyone else, considering the amount of parcels that still need to be delivered on minimal staff. Right, so this area then, we've got our other one now. It's now the next day. We can give this a good start in, and we'll just have to wait until the next one arrives. I'm not sure, obviously delays are suffering a little bit at the moment in the old postage system. So we've got 2 of them, so that's a good start. So I'm going to take them off, give them a good rough idea. We'll probably have one about there, and then one over the back. Obviously I've kept my little generator bit over there. It looks good, and that can just be like electricity substation, so that can stay. That's not harming anything, and obviously we'll just have our bits around the front. So let's get on with this, and I'll set up a time lapse and let's do some of this scenery. Right, so we're going to be using bog standard pound shop glue, just because it's a pound and it does a job. It sticks and That's what I do all my layouts with. So we're going to be using that. I'll get on with that. We'll time lapse me gluing it, just because obviously everyone's got a lot of time on their hands at the moment, so I'm sure watching me do some gluing with some music over the top will be of interest. Right, so let's go. Some progress at least. So obviously we've glued it, covered up the holes, and now obviously did a whole layer of newspaper to further cover up the holes, which I probably should have done and just ignored the tape, but hey, common sense, isn't it? And afterthoughts, I absolutely love them. Right, anyway, so we've got a layer of woodland scenic, plus we mix some of this Jarvis stuff, but the price does kind of tell you its quality. It weren't great, but I've done a couple of little layers just to differentiate the colours a little bit, which I think is a nice little change. Right, so as we've got that whole base colour, obviously static grass will be added on top in certain areas, but obviously this kind of simulates well kept grass, so some of it will just stay as it is. We've got this nice bank that we built up with that kind of bit of corrugated cardboard, and then obviously newspaper plastering it over. So that's all good and that's all drying now. So we'll leave that for a little while and then obviously start placing buildings and some other parts on this thing. Right, okay, so that's all been secured now with water. Obviously it's still got a lot of glue underneath. I did that on purpose. So obviously with that water and the glue underneath, it will soak through, bring the glue up when it obviously dries and evaporates, and then makes it all hard and dried in. So that's quite a good little tip that I do with all my scenery. It never blows away or anything after I do that. It really does glue it very well. Obviously you can use spray like you would with, say, your ballasting. Put like a PVA glue mix and washing up liquid. You can do that, but for this scenario, obviously it's up in the loft, it's not high wind velocity, so this will do just fine, like I've done with all the rest of the scenery. Along here, that was done in that way, and over here. So obviously with that, obviously if it was a, say, exhibition layout, you might want to spray glue it as well to allow for people to touch it or wear and tear through transport. But obviously this is up here, so it don't need to be really secured down, but it's secured down enough so if you tip it upside down it won't all go falling off. Very short grass, which obviously is achieved with that scatter there. So we're going to let that dry for a little while. Right, okay, so we're over the other side now. We've just started making some road with some very simple Woodland Scenics medium ballast. This is a light grey one. I actually use medium grey on my track, which is basically got darker bits in. This is just light. This was bought totally in mistake, so I've used it on a lot of areas to do roads, and it creates quite a nice look. It's like a light grey yellow kind of ballast, or stones in this case, for caravan site. Right, okay, so we're over the other side now. We've just started making some road with some very simple Woodland Scenics medium ballast. This is a light grey one. I actually use medium grey on my track, which is basically got darker bits in. This is just light. This was bought totally in mistake, so I've used it on a lot of areas to do roads, and it creates quite a nice look. It's like a light grey yellow kind of ballast, or stones in this case, for caravan. So we can place that just there. I think that's how I want it. Obviously I'm not going to glue it, so I can change its position depending how it looks from the normal viewing area, which is over here in the loft. So going back, obviously that can go there, and I'll continue. I'm going to put another caravan here and probably another one somewhere over here, and obviously we've got static grass and all this stuff to do on the hill. Right, okay, so this is how we're looking. We'll put the other one just in place, and yeah, I think they look pretty good. Right, okay, so we spray glued that all last night. We're back now, it's the following day. We planted some trees just a minute ago, so we've obviously got our Hornby one over the back and one of my homemade ones. Tell me what you think, but obviously that's my homemade one. That's the Hornby one. I'm not sure which is better. I've got a feeling mine look more realistic, but without blowing my own trumpet, obviously these are some of my own made ones along here at the back, and obviously these bushes obviously using sea foam. I'm not sure what I prefer. I'm not getting rid of any by any means. Obviously these are a couple more of my own ones I made, as well as majority of them are all over near the station and over there. But obviously it's good to have a nice varied amount, but I do think I actually prefer my own trees in this setting. It's hard to kind of gauge the scene without the back scene on, as that brick wall is quite distracting, but once we've got the back scene on, it should look pretty good over here. So now I just need to wait for these trees to dry. In the meantime, I'm going to do some static grass, working on this area up here. What we're going to be using today is the Woodland Scenic Static Grass, the 4mm variety, which is medium green and light green, so that's kind of your difference, and that's kind of what we're going to be going for. I'm going to do a bit of a mix of both, but I think I'm going to mainly stick with the darker green, so obviously that will go well with the basic dark green layer of scatter we put down. So I'm going to get that loaded up in my static grass applicator, and we'll start doing the area. Right, so this is the static grass applicator I use. It's a Pico one, very good. I highly do recommend it. It's a really good applicator, really well built and quality. Got no issues with it at all, and I've had it for about a year, and it's much better than the cheap ones you buy on eBay. So with this, we're going to fill obviously our grass up, and then I'll get back to you with a nice time lapse of me doing all the static grass. Right, okay, so as you can see, everything is going back on. Got the vehicles populated, got a little backman bin, some figures are going on now, a skip. The area is coming to shape, so obviously got all the canal, that's all done previously, and obviously our new area is finally taking shape. So what's going to be next, obviously we've got just boring foliage just I've glued on. We need to add the briar patch, which is a little bit more realistic and twiggy, which is going to go on this area here. We probably will have another caravan at some stage, but for now we'll have two, or it'll just stay clear for now. Can't be a bit of clear space, or a playground, I don't know, something will go there eventually. I want to think of something cool to go in this area, but for now it's fine, just green. So we're going to put some of this over the back on this hill, and towards the back of the caravan, and right over the back for obviously when the back scene goes in, just to give a bit of variation to the bushes, and then we'll get the back scene on, and then we're pretty much done. Right, okay, so as you can see, everything is going back on. Got the vehicles populated, got a little backman bin, some figures are going on now, a skip. The area is coming to shape, so obviously got all the canal, that's all done previously, and obviously our new area is finally taking shape. So what's going to be next, obviously we've got just boring foliage just I've glued on. We need to add the briar patch, which is a little bit more realistic and twiggy, which is going to go on this area here. We probably will have another caravan at some stage, but for now we'll have two, or it'll just stay clear for now. Can't be a bit of clear space, or a playground, I don't know, something will go there eventually. I want to think of something cool to go in this area, but for now it's fine, just green. So we're going to put some of this over the back on this hill, and towards the back of the caravan, and right over the back for obviously when the back scene goes in, just to give a bit of variation to the bushes. Right, next we're adding some woodland scenics figures. We've got some various different types. I don't think I'll be using all of them, but I'm going to use some of them sitting on the steps of the caravans and to go around the cars and just populate the area a bit. So I'll get that now and show you what the scene looks like after. Right, okay, so we've inhabited our caravan site now. So we've got quite a few figures dotted around the place, as you can see, which do make a huge difference to the scene in total. So in total, I think that's looking really, really good. And final job for now will be putting that back scene back on. Right, okay, so as you can see, our caravan site's inhabited now. Got some benches, all hosts of little details, recycling bins, people, cars, post box. So kind of what we've gone for is this would be kind of the on-site camp shop. It's an old Nissan hut, and that's kind of like maybe a restaurant or something, who knows. You know what you get on caravan sites, like a little cafe restaurant, and obviously you always get a shop and reception. So I've kind of modelled that as that kind of being there. The entrance to exit obviously would go off the park that way, and obviously more caravans would be panned off on different areas. Got a bit of green space here. Might get another caravan to go on there, or we could have some campers or tents. Who knows, something definitely will go there. I can add some lights at a later time. I'll need to source some nice ones like I did on Guernsey Beach, that type of lamp light. But in total, I'm really happy with that. That looks cool. Even got some people looking out for the passing trains. So what I'll do now, get this back scene on, and that'll look all finished. Right, okay, so thank you for watching today's video. I do hope you enjoyed it, and I think our scene is looking pretty good, so that's where we're going to leave it. As always, if you have any questions, do leave them down below in the comments, and I will see you in my next video.